One Piece is a manga that has always interested me. I remember at one point it was just coming out. I had two friends, Rubbery, and they would show me these fight scenes, or they would tell me about there's this character and he keeps a sword in his mouth, or a clown that you can cut and don't have to worry about it, and all these abilities that come from using the devil fruits, and on and on. And I remember thinking, wow, this sounds really, really cool, but it's not finished yet, and that's kind of my issue. I never got into comics because they never finish. Like, I want to read a full story. I wanted to read. I don't want to wait, week after week for the story. I want to sit down and just splurge or just shoot straight through it. So I remember I told one of them. The other one, he gave up. I told her, I want to read it, but I'm going to wait till it finishes and then I'll read it. That was 20 years ago, and it's still going strong. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon, because I've read in an article that it's like 60 or 70%. So with like 800 chapters, I checked, and 60 to 70%. So there's a while to go. And so I've been thinking, I'm like, I really do want to watch this series, and I should start watching it now, because I haven't been the most I don't know what the word is. I haven't read any of the manga chapters. I haven't watched the anime full episodes. I haven't watched full episodes. That means from beginning to end. What I have done is I've YouTubed fights and watched, these encounters or funny scenes, and it really interests me. And I've kept up to date with the theories too, which kind of seems like it's cheating. And I don't want to do that, but I can't pull myself away because of the world and the characters and the the fruits and the fights. It's all really, really interesting. And so I've been thinking, if I'm going to be reading the wiki articles and looking at theories and reading on personalities, it might be better if I just read the manga. It is better if I read the manga, because I don't know everything, by the way. I do not know everything. I read the powers, I read the personalities, I read the appearance, but I don't read the histories. So I don't actually know the plot or the main story. I've seen fights, so I know some things that are going on in action, and I've seen some of the comedic moments and some theories going around, but I don't know what's happening or where those events came from. And I really want to know. So I'm going to try and read at least a chapter a day. That's my goal. It might take a few years, but I want to catch up and read it from beginning to end. I mean, there's some spoilers that I already know, but I want to read it from beginning to end. So I decided I'll let people know that I'm reading it to beginning to end. So this way, if I don't read it from beginning to end, even if nobody watches or cares, which I'm assuming nobody watches or cares because this is chapter 1, I'll know. And being OCD and thinking, I have a failure on YouTube. I'm failing on this channel where I don't have to do anything but talk. And well, so the point is, I read one chapter today. It was chapter 1, which I thought was pretty fitting. It's a place to start. There was 2 chapter zeros which confused me, but I'll save that for later. Do I really need to read chapter zeros? Anyways, so chapter 1. Right off the bat, the manga sucked me in. It was nicely drawn. He wants somebody else to take it. Like he's dying. He's gonna be executed. So he's gonna go, and his last words were, I left everything in one place. You want it, you can have it. You just have to find it. That's all you have to do. So that happens, and then we get this shot about this crazy kid. He's standing up high, and he's like, I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna really do it. And then the villagers are making fun of him because he's an idiot kid. He's an idiot kid up there saying he'll do it. Who cares? He pulls out a knife and slices himself by the eye, under the eye. Well, it's by the eye because this is near the eye, so it's by, under, close to, juxtaposed, near. Yeah, it's not far from the eye. It's close enough to the eye that you would not consider it the cheek. Next scene, we have him hanging out in a tavern or a pub or a bar, and you know they're having fun. Him and some pirates are really they're pirates, by the way. You find out they're pirates. They're enjoying themselves, and he's talking to this one pirate called Shanks, named Shanks, who's constantly making fun of him because he wants to be a pirate, and he's a little. He's small. He's not going to be a pirate. Like, right off the bat, right now. And he's making fun of him. And, you know, he's like, please, you got to take me. And, you know, potentially like, yeah, maybe in 10 years you're good to go. But right now you're too small. But he's not saying that. He's just making fun of him. Because he likes making fun of him. And even Minoko, she says, you know, boy, you really, you know, you're having fun. He's like, you know, making fun of his kid is my joy. This is what I enjoy. This is my well, I mean, it wasn't like a creepy way, but he was just playing around. Next thing you know, some bandits come in, and this one guy, he's like, boy, you know, it's such a ruckus. He's a bandit. He's better than pirates, you know, but all he wants is 10 barrels of sake. So the girl says, you know, we don't have any. I'm sorry. He's like, well, what are they all drinking? Water? Yeah, they got rambunctious of water. Are they excited? Does water excite them? Or no, they're. And she says that's the last of it. So, you know, him and he gets into it's a one-sided, like, stare-off, because Shanks doesn't really care about this guy, because he's trying to make a big deal about everything, and, you know, how they're better and how he looks weak, and Shanks doesn't care. And Shanks is even like, you know what, here, you want my sake? You can have the last bottle. It's on me. And so he breaks the sake. It covers Shanks. And then Shanks apologizes. He gets down to start picking it up because, you know, there's a mess. And so the guy, he makes a big deal, and then he ends up cutting or destroying several more cups and glasses, and it's all over. And, you know, the guy, he leaves because, like, well, you know, I'm pissed, but I'm not going to stab somebody who's... Well, he doesn't say this, but he basically leaves because Shanks isn't trying to fight him. And then Luffy gets mad because Shanks, in his eyes, pussed out. Shanks did not beat the hell out of the guy, and Luffy was mad. So he tried, you know, he gets mad. He kind of like curses Shanks, calls him a coward, and tries to leave. And then Shanks grabs a hold of his arm and holds it. And the thing is that Luffy's body keeps going, but his hand stays in Shanks' hand. And everyone's freaking out because they're like, what's going on? And, you know, it's revealed that Luffy ate a devil fruit. And, earlier they were making fun of Luffy because he couldn't swim. And Luffy's like, no, I'll learn to swim. And then if they find out that he ate the devil fruit, and they're like, well, you know, which is a great treasure. They weren't mad that it was a treasure. They didn't, they kind of said, oh, well, you know, I don't think they really cared about the fact that it was valuable. Shanks seemed more interested in the fact that Luffy can't swim anymore. And he even says, you know, not being able to swim is a pirate's biggest weakness. So it jumps. And the next thing you see is, you know, Luffy, he's smiling, he's walking like that. I don't know what that's called. I guess a happy stroll. And he goes to this market. Is it a market? I'm assuming it's a market. Because they sell fish, and I don't know where else they would sell fish. I mean, you can sell fish. Fish do not need to be sold in a market, but traditionally they tend to be. I mean, there's stores too, but, you know, past tradition. So he goes to fish, and this guy's like, you seem happy. And he's like, yeah, you know, I didn't get along with Shanks, or, you know, that happened with Shanks, but look, I can stretch my face out in such a way that the Joker would be really envious. This sheriff character, who is the sheriff of the town, and that's why he's the sheriff. Boy, I'm making a lot of stupid comments today. That's what happens when I don't talk to people. So the sheriff, he's mad because he doesn't want Luffy to be a pirate, not for Luffy's safety. At least it didn't come off that way, but because he would embarrass the town. And the next scene that you see is Luffy, he's back at the bar, which I'm just now realizing is weird that there's a kid hanging around at the bar stall, talking to Minoko, or the girl, who I'm assuming is still named Minoko. And he's down, and Minoko's like, you miss him, don't you? And he's like, no, I don't. No. He's playing with his glass. And she's like, because it seems like you do. He's like, no. And then the bandit comes back, and everybody, well, there's like 2 or 3 people. I think was it just them? Well, the people who were in there are surprised. He's like, don't look surprised. We're just here for a game. And then he tells them, what are you waiting for? Sake, bring us. I mean, he doesn't say bring us. And so it's like, okay, maybe they just want drinks. They're not going to cause any problems. They're just alcoholics. Okay, maybe this won't end so bad. Next scene, girls running and getting the sheriff because the bandits have taken Luffy. So it wasn't just the sake that he wanted, or it wasn't just the alcoholism ruins lives. We jump back to Luffy and the bandit, and they're outside, and Luffy's on the floor getting talked down to because he made the bandit mad. And then Luffy gets mad and he tries to attack the bandit, and this fails because Luffy is a little kid and the bandit's an adult who keeps on talking about the 50 people he's killed. And while he's kicking Luffy around, he's making fun of him. Maybe I won't kill you. Maybe I'll just sell you to the circus. I can make a pretty penny. This is when the sheriff comes, and you think, okay, he's the sheriff. His job is to protect the town. He must have some kind of fighting ability. He became sheriff, and due to skill and to power and to intelligence. So we're gonna see something fairly cool. He offers to pay the man to let Luffy go. Wise decision, probably, but kind of a letdown. Comedic letdown. I'm not mad about it. I'm just, you're a sheriff. The bandit tears him down though, because even though that's the wise thing to do, and he's not surprised because an elder is supposed to be wise, he's still pissed, so he's still gonna kill the kid. This is when Shanks shows up, and he does it real casually. He doesn't do it, like he doesn't rush to the rescue and grab Luffy, or come in with a big statement, or hey, what are you doing, shouting? Nothing flashy. He's like, oh, this is why nobody was greeting us when we came by. He's standing with the others, just calm and chill. And he's like, hey, you guys are the bandits from last time. And there's like this standoff, but it's not really a standoff because Shanks doesn't care about the bandits, who they are. They don't intimidate him in any ways. He doesn't have to puff out his chest to them because he doesn't see them as a threat. And he starts walking toward the bandits. And the bandit, they're like, you better stop, I have the kid or you're going to regret it. So this one guy appears, takes his pistol out and points it at Shanks. He's like, I told you to stop. And he did. He did tell Shanks to stop. But Shanks says, you shouldn't use that to scare people. And the guy's like, what? Next thing you know, his head has a new hole in it because the fat guy that we seen earlier just put it there with a pistol of his own. This guy's dead. The bandits get pissed and they start rushing forward, and the guy who told Luffy that I should have told you, he told Luffy, he's just doing it to protect you because the sea's dangerous. He's like, I'll handle it. And so all these men end up getting their asses handed to them by this one guy swinging his gun around, a rifle, like a bat, and just bashing them one over the other. One falls, he's grabbing where his eye was, if it's still there. The guy freaks out and then he throws a smoke bomb. Pirates have smoke bombs. Bandits have smoke bombs. Maybe pirates too. And so you went from Shanks being this really cool, scary character who was going to kill the man and he just, it was funny though because he went from calm and collected to, oh no, I overdid it again. Where'd they go? And it was the face moving around so fast that you can't really see it, but only like one into another. And the next thing you have is Luffy and the bandit on a boat. And the bandit is saying, isn't it ironic that a land bandit would use a boat to escape to sea? And he kicks Luffy over, and Luffy couldn't swim before. Now he definitely can. So he's sinking or drowning, but he's splashing. Which was weird because I thought later on, don't we find out that they just freeze when they're in the... So, anyways, he's going to drown. And then the next thing you see is Luffy, or the perspective of the man. And behind him, there's something big. And then the man's not there anymore because he's inside that something big. And then that something big almost puts Luffy inside of him. Shanks stops. Well, he doesn't stop him. He just moves Luffy far enough away that when the fish hits the water, that's all he hits. He doesn't get any extra meat or nutrients from the water. It's just salt water. And, the fish, it decides it's going to try again, but Shanks looks at it, and it's this weird, like, freakishly angry look, and the fish is like, nope, not going to happen, and just takes off. So, the two are there. Shanks is holding Luffy, and they're like bobbing in the water, calm, peaceful. He's holding Luffy because he doesn't want Luffy to drown. So, and Luffy's crying, and he's crying while Shanks is saying, thank you for standing up to me, and it's okay. The important thing is you're fine. It's fine. Don't worry. You're okay. What's wrong? Why are you still crying? And you think, okay, I don't know what you think. I'm not psychic. And so I thought, okay, he's traumatized. He's scared. He's sad. The excitement was just so much, and maybe he's thinking, okay, this is dangerous. The world can be a dangerous place. So he's just kind of like in shock. Nope. Turns out that he's crying for Shanks because Shanks doesn't have an arm. I mean, he has one arm. He doesn't have a second arm. The one that's holding Luffy is literally the only arm he has at the moment. And then it shows the scene where there's a shoulder, and then there's some meat, and then it doesn't continue as tradition would dictate. And Shanks is real calm about it. He's like, it's just an arm. I'm happy you're okay. That's what's important. Another flash forward. Step forward. Next thing we see is Shanks is telling Luffy, we're not going to use this as home base anymore. It's time we take off and we sail around some more. And then Luffy tells him, I'm not going to try and force you to take me this time. I'm not. But someday I am going to be a better pirate than you are, and I will be king of the pirates. And Shanks is like, okay, cool, I'm happy to hear it. And so he takes off his hat. It's the straw hat that Luffy will inevitably become known for. And he puts it on Luffy's head and he says, when you accomplish this, give me my hat back. And then he leaves. And then we jump to 10 years later. 10 years later. And it shows Minoko and the sheriff, and she's like, I can't believe he's actually leaving. And the sheriff's like, he's going to ruin the town's reputation. And we see an older, I don't know, like 15, 16, 14? We see Luffy, and he's a young man now. And he's on his way. He's in a little dinghy. And he's sailing out to sea. And so as he's sailing, that big fish comes out of the water. And Luffy, who was scared shitless of this fish before, is happy. He's smiling. He says, I was hoping I'd see you. I'm going to show you what I've learned. So the fish goes towards Luffy. And Luffy throws his arm back. And it goes for a while. And then he snaps it forward like a pistol. I mean, not a pistol. Pistols don't snap forward. Like a baseball. Like you're throwing a baseball. And his fist keeps going and it slams into the fish. And that was it for the fish. The fish just kind of disappears. And so, first victory in hand, Luffy's like, okay, now that that's done, I need a crew. I want at least 10 people. And he strikes a pose. And it ends with the beginning of a long journey. And that is the beginning of a long journey. That is the truest statement that was put in this chapter. Very long journey. It was a good chapter. I enjoyed it. It was good. It's kind of like I see where it's going to go. And I see how big it's going to be and how much the world's going to expand. So it's still kind of surprising, like, even with 800 chapters, this little thing comes into this. But it's, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Mostly. I guess if somebody picks you up and you never actually make a step and they put you in a car and the car just drives and you don't actually have to start it with a step. But the point is, good start. Good start. I'm happy I read it. On to the next.